Hey, how's it going? Anmol here. Welcome everybody to the Swing newsletter for today, 27th April, Monday. This is being recorded after the market close. The newsletter was supposed to go out on, usually goes out on Sundays or Saturdays during the weekend, but we had some issues with our website over the weekend. So I thought, you know what, let's just do it today. And probably a better thing to do it today, right? Because now we got to see what happened today. So, looking at the market now, market is basically doing pretty much exactly what we've been talking about in the last few editions of the newsletter, which is that, when we talked about the potential of a decline from here, we got that. We talked about potential bounces in this area. We got that bounce. And then we said, hey, if we get back above 264, and you guys can go back and watch the previous to previous newsletter video. And I said, hey, if we get above 264 on the SPY, more likely we're going higher. We're going to go test 288, 289, and here we are now. It's that 289 level we talked about. So we are now at basically where I thought we could go to, right? Now, what does that mean? So basically, we got that move down and we touched the 50-period moving average. And this is where we actually took a short position, right? So if you check out the newsletter, we had shorted the S&P 500 right about here when it touched the 50-period moving average. We got the decline in the following days, and we got out. We took our little profit. We walked away right over there, and then now we're back up again, right? But the interesting part is now you are actually above the 50-period moving average, right? Now you're above it. So what's going to be interesting to see now is how the market reacts in the zone of this $290, right? Because I think if we stay below 290 on these spiders, we could probably still go lower, meaning we can expect something like an M top. So what does that mean? Well, basically you can see here, we went down, we tried to go up, we came down, we tried to go up. And sometimes you peak up a little bit more, and then you can get sort of like an M top pattern. So that is still a possibility right now. That could absolutely still happen. I was actually thinking about maybe shorting the spiders again today, but I was like, well, there's not enough a good area to really place our stop loss. So I was like, well, let's pass on that trade for now. Because now that we're above the 50 MA, what makes me also think is that the market might want to, go back up and test 300 and test the 200-period moving average right about there. So that's absolutely a possibility. But man, what a comeback, I will say that. Like, this is a pretty quick comeback, right? I mean, we dropped to 216. We're almost back to 300, which is crazy. So it's a really quick move on the market. We'll see how we react to the 290 area. We started getting above 288, 289. We could probably go and test, that $300 area to the 200 MA. So that's absolutely a possibility. But again, as traders, the good part is we don't really care as traders, what the market's really going to do, because usually we have a bunch of positions here and there, and I focus on stock that are not following the market. This is, I think, this is one of the reasons that I'm going to talk about that I have, I would say, higher returns and higher success rate and better results than a lot of the swing traders out there. Is the reason that a lot of people, right, when they swing trade, they focus on like stocks that mimic the market, like Microsoft, right? They want to trade Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Baba. Again, nothing wrong with those, because if those stocks give me a nice tradable pattern, guess what? I'm going to trade them too. But the problem is when people focus on those kind of stocks that are literally looking like the chart of the market, right? You are on the mercy of the market. Meaning if you're right in your market direction, you're going to make money. You're wrong, you're going to not make money. You're going to lose money, right? So that's why I try not to focus on charts that look exactly like the S&P 500. So a good thing to do is always put things side by side. So you say, hey, Anmol, what do you think about buying, I don't know, whatever stock, Apple, right? I'm like, well, what's the difference between buying Apple and buying the stock market, right? What's the difference? You tell me that, right? Because market goes down, Apple goes down. Market goes up, right? Apple goes up. Market comes down a little bit, Apple comes down a little bit. Market goes up, Apple goes up. So when you trade stuff like this, you're basically trading the market. So you don't really have that much of an edge. So always look at them side by side. That's why you'll notice a lot of the trades I call in the swing news that are stocks that A, you've never heard about, right? Or B, the charts look nothing like the market do, right? And that's where I find my edge. So looking at the market right now, as swing traders, it doesn't really matter. We can just trade in and out and not a problem. But as long-term investors, it's a tricky situation right now for long-term investors, right? I mean, as you guys recall, those who've been a member for a while, I personally dumped all my long-term positions right over here. I started buying them back over here, and I personally already got out of those too, which might be a bad idea. But I got a lot of my long-term positions that I sold over here back in February, bought them back in late March. I actually got out of them last week, as I told you guys, right about when it touched the 50 MA. So for me, I'm personally out of the market again. I'm gonna look for a pullback, maybe into 263, 264, to maybe put on my long-term positions again. But again, maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe we go right back up. But so long-term investing, I'm not a huge fan because again, I always think about ROI, right? As traders, the only important thing that matters is ROI, return on your investment. So if I've got $100,000 and $200,000 invested in the market, right, and let's say they're giving me 8% average a year, right, maybe 10%, okay. But now I can make that, let's say, in a quarter using the same capital swing trading. So for me, I prefer that style of trading over anything else. So that's that basically, right? So that was the S&P 500. Really interesting situation right now. We could get an M top, but we also could push all the way higher towards 200 MA. I hope we don't bounce to the 200 MA, right? I hope we don't, because if you do, then basically that means we're probably going to go right back up again. Ideal scenario is that we maybe gap up, maybe go to 290, maybe 291, 292, and then from there we start rolling over. That would be ideal scenario for the market that I would like to see, but we'll see what happens. All right, so that's that. That being said, we got out of our swing trade on Sage today, which I guess I got out too early. So Sage, this was my target was basically the 50-period moving average, and today it touched it. It went to 40.85, so it did touch the 200 MA, 50 MA, which was my original target, which would have been over 2 hours. But in the morning, I saw it on a 15-minute chart, and I was like, well, it's a little bit tricky situation because I was looking at it this way. So when I was touching on, I was looking to get out at 39 in the morning, but it never touched 39, so I raised my stop and basically literally just tagged us and then went right back up again. But again, no harm, no foul. We still made money on the trade, so that's what matters, right? In the end, we still made money on it, so that was pretty good. All right, next one on the list is a trade we called last week, which I want to review, VXRT. What a trade, man, what a trade. Now, obviously, looks like this stock went much, much higher than we wanted it to, but, I don't care about that. As traders, again, one of the things you need to have is, well, not have actually, is a regret of missing out or fear of missing out, or also the fact that, oh my God, look at this, I got out too early, now look what it's done. Well, if you say that about all your winning trades, then guess what? You should also say that about your losing trades, right? Oh my God, I got out of here, my stop loss, now it went much lower. We never say that though, right? That's the thing with traders. When we see a stock that we got out of go even further, we're like, oh my God, I got out too early. But we never say that about our losses, do we? So it's always, two-way street. But I think it was a great trade. We got almost 3 hours on this trade, which is phenomenal on VXRT. The trade on this one was a 3-bar play strategy. I think everybody knows 3-bar play, right? We bought this 3-bar, kind of a 4-bar play actually. We bought this thing over here, put our stop loss down over there, and boom, boom, next it gaps up, and we basically just got out. So that was an awesome trade for us on VXRT. Beautiful trade, right? And then next one, let's see. Right now we have a couple trades open right now. One of the trades that we are currently in is the Tilray, which looked phenomenal this morning, but actually didn't get a good close. So this Tilray stock, we are in this at $7.40. This was called a couple weeks back in the newsletter. We've been holding this for a while. And today it looked really, really good. I mean, check it out. It went to $9.75 on Tilray. Really good move, right? Over 1 hour for us. But then it ended up closing a little bit lower. It closed weak at $8.40. Now, it's still good. It's still $1 above our entry, but would have been nice if it closed above 9, right? Why did it come down? Well, it touched the 50-period moving average, right? And that's why I started to pull back. So hopefully this thing can go back up again and take out the 50 again, or maybe gap up or something. That'd be nice. But, Tilray looks good. I'm still in this at 740, and I am going to, raise my stop loss on this one. I don't want to raise it too much because that would just, I don't want to get out of the trade. I want to hold this trade. So I'm going to raise the stop loss to maybe, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to raise my stop loss on this Tilray to 762. So 762 is where I'm going to be raising my stop loss. So we're still going to be locking in a profit, right? Worst case scenario, it stops us out. We still make money on it, but hopefully, best case, it can hold that area and then go right back up. So Tilray, we're in, looks great right about now. All right, so let's take a look at some commodities right now. Gold, as I was talking about last week, gold is still holding really, really strong, but it is extended. It still has room to go higher. I mean, it could really go into the prior highs at 170, 176 on GLD. But right now, you are a little bit extended from the 9 EMA, so pullback could be on the cards. Let's take a look at bonds, TLT. Bonds are really, really extended right now. Look at the monthly chart, way ahead of the moving averages, way ahead of the channel. So even on the bonds, I think a pullback is likely on the TLT. All right. Next one on the list, silver. Silver, pretty much like gold, got a nice bounce, but it's hanging in there. Silver doesn't look good, like gold's making new highs. There's no love for silver here. I would leave silver alone. Doesn't look that interesting of a setup to me at the moment. US dollar index, UUP, still consolidating sideways after a big up move. I would still say what I said, the same thing in the last newsletter. If it gets above 27.40, I think dollar could go back up higher. If it breaks below 26, probably goes lower. In between, I wouldn't touch it. I would leave that one alone. Let's take a look at some currency. AUD yen, Aussie yen. So Aussie yen is usually a good indicator for the market. Because again, if you take a look at Aussie yen and the stock market side by side, you'll see that they are pretty much correlated. Where Aussie yen went down, stock market went down, right? Aussie yen went up, stock market went up. Aussie yen came down, stock market came down. Aussie yen went back up, stock market went back up again. So, we're looking at Aussie yen. This is also at a resistance level over here. So if we can hold here and start pulling back, that means the stock market could also do the same. So that's something to keep in mind. But at the same time, if Aussie yen breaks out above the 69.50, that would mean that the stock market would also break above here. And in that scenario, we're probably going to go test the 200, but I hope that doesn't happen. But kind of looks like it right now. So again, time will tell on that one. All right. Now, last but not the least, talk of the town, freaking USO, oil, right? Oil just getting killed, no value for oil. And the reasoning for that is they have a lot of storage, right? Their storage is just insane because guess what? Airlines aren't doing as much as travel and business like before. Right? Businesses aren't operating like the way they used to before. Industries aren't operating the way they used to do before. Cruises, all of that not working. So the demand of oil is low and there's more supply. The storage is full with oil, right? So that's why the price is going down and prices are continuing to slide lower. I'm still going to find an entry on this USO, but I think maybe not the right spot. I originally, when we bought it here, we actually traded USO while back in April, and that was an awesome trade. We bought it, bounced right back up. We made some nice money on it. This time around, I bought it, and the next day gapped down, and it's just it was a weird kind of scenario. I chose to hold it, and I was like, well, doesn't look that good, and I got out of it, and it's a good thing. We got out of that day. Yes, we lost more than what we wanted it to do on this trade, but guess what? We could be holding now and be even in a worse position. So. That's why I just chose to get out of that and, not really liking this anymore. It's below pretty much every level that I wanted to buy it at. So I'm not really interested in that. I'll probably be interested in it if it dips below $2 because the NAV, the net, liquidation value of this fund is about $2. So I think, at $190, $180, $2 is going to be some support. So we'll see about that. Maybe try it around those prices around $190, $180. But right now I'm not really interested in USO anymore. Because there's plenty of better things to be trading. Like our NNBR, right? This one triggered today. What a move, NNBR. Can NNBR do it for us 2 times in a row? That'd be nice, right? So those of you who were in the newsletter in just a few weeks ago, we had bought NNBR as a swing trade at $1.84, $1.86, and literally in one day it went from $1.86 to like $3.30, and we made a good money on NNBR. And then NNBR pulled after that strong move, pulled back to the moving averages. Moving averages started to transition up and curl it higher. So what we ended up getting was called a transition A buy setup for those who've taken a strategy course or the PTS course, right? It's known as the transition A buy setup. You can even call it a wedge pattern here. So I saw that pattern and I sent out an email on Friday that NNBR, if it gets back above 265, we're going to buy it. So today we got in it at $2.66. And boom, what a nice move again on NNBR in day one. It went as high as 323. So looking really good on NNBR. I'm still liking it. I'm going to hold on to it. I think it has room to go higher towards 415. So the 50-period moving average is where the target is. It's about 415, $4. I'm going to look for $4, right? So $4 is my target. But again, if it ends up gapping up tomorrow, then yeah, look out for my email, right? So if we open regularly, like we just opened today, and we go higher, then that's fine. We look for $4. But if you end up gapping up to, let's say, 350 or 370, right? Anything above 350 we gap up, most likely I'm just going to take my profit and get out, right? And so that's the plan. But NNBR looks really, really good. And that's why I like trading, right? Because if you're an investor in NNBR, let's say you bought an NBR, you're buying an NBR, you're watching it go from $9 to $1, and now you're hoping for it to come back up, right? Or maybe as an investor, you bought it over here, and it went up, and you pulled back, and you're still holding, and yeah, you might be right, but as a trader, this is where traders will always get more money, because we could get in, we got that move, we got out, it came down, we got back in it. Now if it goes back up, we'll get out, and we'll keep trading our money, rotating our money, not buying and hoping, not buying and holding like they're taught, right? Like other people are taught. We're buying, we're getting in, we're getting out, we're using our cash properly, we're trading in and out of that, and ROI is much better than any other form of investment. So NNBR, I like it still. I'm in it. Looks good. We'll see where it can go. All right. I had a couple other trades that I had previously called that ended up canceling. So let's kind of go over some more ideas that I have prepared. So VLRS is a trade that I have called. I am still I'm still okay with getting in it, right? So this has not triggered. Okay, this has not triggered. We're looking to get in it about 4.25, and our stop loss is going to be under here. This trade is not triggered, but I'm still okay with trading it if it triggers. Another one I'm watching is CCL, which is going to be a new trade for this edition of the newsletter. I'm going to be calling CCL long above, let's see, today's high is 1325. So I'm going to say like 1374. So CCL is going to be a new trade, 1374, stop loss under 1150, and we're going to see if it can get back up into $19 or $20. So CCL is going to be a new trade. VLRS is still valid. Oh yeah, and Tilray, we're raising the stop. And NNBR also, we're raising the stop on NNBR to under today's low, which is 236. That's going to be the new low on that one. Another one that I called, which I'll keep it active, is KLXE. So this one, I'm going to change the numbers on it on KLXE, right? So I'm going to be looking to get in it long above $1.28 with a stop loss under 75 cents. So this is also another valid trade that I'm liking. Sage, we got out of. Good trade. Maybe on a pullback, we could get back in this trade. Here's another one I was watching, GCI, Gannett Co. This thing gets back above $1.10. Looks very interesting, but not that interesting right now. I think there are better things out there. So this one I'm going to wait for. I'm not going to be calling this as a trade. Okay. NNBR looks good. And let's see. Yeah, and here's some of the ideas from the last newsletter. If you remember in the last newsletter, I talked about ENLC over $1.35. That one went as high as like $1.79. I mentioned OVV long above like 350, went to like 532. I mentioned GLOP above like 250, went to like $5. There's a lot of stuff that already went without us. Even KOS is another one I mentioned over $1.04. This thing went to went as high as like $1.48. Very interesting there. I still like Oxy. Oxy's been the toughest trading stock for a while. Just goes up and down, but I still like it again. Gets back above 1470. Could be an interesting trade towards 19, but not an official trade I'm looking to do right now. Here's one that we traded a while ago, MIST, Milestone Pharmaceuticals, right? I think we got in at like a $2.10, and we got out on the way up around $3. Looking to get back in this trade on MIST. Yeah, so I'm thinking we could probably get back in this trade, assuming it can get back above, let's see, probably above like 260. Right? If it gets back above 260, this is an interesting looking swing trade, but I'm not going to call it right now, so not an official trade. Here's one I really like, RAD, Rite Aid Corporation. This has also been another one of our swing newsletter favorites. We bought it here, we sold it there, we bought it again, we sold it again, we bought it again, we sold it again. So it's been a good trading instrument for us in the newsletter. I'm kind of liking it again now. We have this little triangle pattern that we sort of broke out of today, right? So it looks like it wants to go higher. But again, never buy something that's up 3 days in a row. 1 green day, 2 green day, 3 green day. If you buy it on a 4th green day, you're doing it wrong, right? So what I want to see happen on this RAD is 2 things. I want it to either go up like that. Actually, this is what I want. I want it to go up, touch this resistance area, right? I want it to pull back, and then I want it to make another attempt higher. So that way when we can buy it above here, put our stop loss there, and then look for a move higher. So that's what I would look for on RAD, but not something I want to do right now, but it's on the watch list for the future. Okay. Let's see. This is another idea I gave a few editions ago in the newsletter, above 282 on ENBL. Yeah, 282. This thing went to like 449. So that's been another nice, interesting trade. Another one I'm liking is SPCE, Virgin Galactic Holdings. I think if this thing gets back above today's high, let's say 1850, right, with a stop under 1580, this thing could probably make a move higher, maybe even to like $20 or $28. Problem is 5th May, it's got earnings, so there's not a lot of time. Today it's already 27, so 28, 29, 30. So you basically only got, 4 days to trade it, right? So that's not enough, although I do like Virgin, but 4 days is not enough to trade it because it's got earnings in 4 days. All right. Here's another one that I called, TWO long I called, if it gets above 470. It has not triggered yet. I still like it. I still think it can go higher. But same thing, right? It's got earnings coming up soon, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel the TWO. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cancel that just because it's got earnings coming in, and for holding it, trading it for 5 days doesn't make too much sense to me. All right. Here's another one I like, PTLA. We have tried trading this before in the newsletter. It barely triggered us and then kind of took us out of the trade. Looks good again if it gets back above $8. Looks really good. But I'm going to wait on that one a little bit. Not that excited about that. All right. And let's see. This was one I was also going to call in the newsletter, MNLO. MNLO I was going to call in the newsletter, above like $1.30. I waited on it, and look at that. It just ripped, and it went. And you guys might be wondering, what's the setup on this? Well, it's the reverse 3-bar play, reverse 3-bar strategy. I have a video on it on YouTube. You can YouTube it, type in, reverse 3-bar play, and, you'll see the video. So that was the setup on that one. All right. PDS, I'm also canceling. I already canceled, actually. I sent out an email canceling PDS. That's because it's got earnings coming up in like 2-3 days, so not worth trading in then. Here's another one I really, really like, SVC, Service Properties Trust. If this thing gets back above $6.60, looks really good. But again, got earnings coming up, so can't really trade into earnings. Here's one that I'm going to probably call. I'm going to call this one MLND. MLND. All right, MLND I'm going to call long above, let's see, $1.70. So $1.70, stop loss $1.40, and we're going to try and see if we can go into 250. So MLND I'm going to call long, similar to a reverse 3-bar play with a little bull flag at the lows. MITT, I also like this one long if it gets back above 318, but earnings in 3 days, so not worth it. And I have another call that I called on Friday on MRSN. I still like it, right? If it gets back to $10, we'll look to buy it. The reason I like it is it's got kind of like a 4-3-bar, 4-5-bar play. Sort of like a 3-bar, but a little mini breakout. If it gets back above 10, this looks really good to maybe go higher. So I like this one. I'm gonna keep that trade active. Again, all the numbers about these trades I'm talking about will be in the newsletter, so check out the numbers. Okay. NBLX, another one I really like long. I already liked it at like a 380. Now it's a little bit higher, but it still looks like it wants to go higher to maybe $8. Here's another one I like, AMC Entertainment. I like this one as well, long above 350. It's got earnings, but that's 11th May, so there's still time to trade this one. I like it. I'm going to call AMC as well. So we're going to call AMC long. above 345. My only concern right now, guys, though, is that I don't know if I really want to go too much long, right? Because I'm looking at all these swing trades that I have in my plan, and a lot of them are on the long side, right? Now, if the market pushes up and goes higher into the 200 MA, you're going to be happy because all the longs are probably going to work, right? But at the same time, market does an M top and starts rolling over, probably not a good idea to be involved in a bunch of long trades, right? So keep that in mind. All right, next one, Tupperware. Really like this pattern. I called this long on Friday as well, but I canceled it today because it's got earnings literally on Wednesday, so not worth trading into earnings. All right, let's see. Groupon was another one that I was calling long above like $1. Missed calling it though, and it already popped up. Do you guys remember Groupon? Those in the newsletter, like since like January or February. You guys remember? Sorry, March actually. Remember, we actually had Groupon long at like 60, 70 cents. We were playing it long. But it literally got out at the wrong time and it spiked up. So timing was incorrect on that one. MRO is pushing higher, but not a lot to look at. HAL, nothing really. West, nothing. Here's a short trade that I really like that I want to do, but here's the problem. Earnings on 4th May. That's my concern, but I like this on the short side. Tyson Foods, right? A little sell setup with a double top. So you see how it went up here, pulled back, went up here, pulled back. So now you got an M top pattern, right? So now if it breaks below the support, it could actually come lower. So really like this one short, but it's got earnings coming up, so I don't really want to short something going into an earnings season, right? So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so that's where I stand as it relates to stocks. But we're doing a pretty good job, as you can see here. Right now for the year, if you're risking 1% per trade, you're up 16%, 16.5%. If you're risking 2% per trade, you're making 33%. So we're doing a pretty good job on the newsletter so far, and we're mitigating risk. That's the best part. We're mitigating our risk. That's the best part about it. All right, so for all the newer traders who are joined the newsletter, you're like, hey, how do I use the newsletter? So here's how it works. You're gonna get newsletter in your inbox, usually on the weekends, right? So, on either Saturday or Sunday, right? Or sometimes if a technical issue, then maybe like Monday today, you're gonna get a video newsletter, just like this one, 30 to 60 minute long. We're gonna go over the markets, open positions, close trades, and new trades we're looking at, and then you're gonna get trades. And then every newsletter sent has a link to the spreadsheet. So all the trades that we're waiting, like that have you already called but have not triggered yet, we're gonna type it in here. So we're waiting on MRSN, VLRS, KLXC to trigger. So they're gonna be posted over here, right? All the open trades will say open, just like in pink. All the closed trades will say closed, okay? Now, the entry date means the date that we got in at. Stock means what the symbol of the stock is. And long or short means, again, long or short, right? So now entry price means the price that we got in at. Stop loss means our stop loss, right? And exit one means the price that we got out of the trade for, right? So that's basically it. And the stop size basically means what is the size of the stop loss, right? How many R units we earned on that trade, and what is our current stop loss on it, and what is the target on it, right? Now, again, I update this spreadsheet usually nightly, meaning it's updated on every night. So if, let's say it's the middle of the trading day, something triggers, and you look at the spreadsheet, you're like, oh, it's not in there. Well, that's because it's not updated every second, right? It's updated at the night. So that's why you want to keep an eye out on the emails for the first thing. Now, that's how you use the spreadsheet, okay? And as far as position sizing, there's a link below this video in the newsletter rules to how to decide how many shares to buy or sell. So that video is also important that you guys watch and go over, okay? And let's see. So yeah, that's basically how you're going to use the spreadsheet, okay? Now, what happens is when a trade is called, they're all sent out via email. All the trades we're looking at, the updates regarding the trades and all of that good stuff. So right now, as you guys might have noticed, our website is currently down. That's because we are updating our website backend to potentially add more features. So more features meaning we're going to try and add a way where you guys can see in your backend what's valid, what's waiting to trigger, all of that good stuff. And we're also going to be having, SMS alerts that I've been talking about for a while. My team's still working on it. Hopefully, they can get it up in time. So that way, because sometimes emails are a little bit delayed. So I might send an email now, but because it's being sent to a lot of people, right? Some get it early, some get it late. So we're gonna add SMS where you can just put in your phone number and you'll just get updates on your SMS as well. So that's definitely something we're adding. So just be patient. It'll be here soon. All right. What else? What else I want to talk about? Let's see. And yeah, another thing, guys. For the newsletter, right? If you guys want me to go over any questions, here's what I want you guys to do. So I don't mind doing this newsletter even longer, like 40 minutes, an hour more. I don't mind. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer, okay, only important ones. If it's a question that you can probably look up the answer on Google, then look it up on Google, right? If it's a question you can look up an answer on YouTube, look it up on YouTube, right? If there's a question that you want an answer to and you just can't figure out the answer to, right? Yeah, then you drop me an email and I want you to put in the subject title, Swing Newsletter Question. Okay, that's what I want. The subject title should be Swing Newsletter Question. And then I want your questions in just like plain bullet points, right? So that way what I can do is anytime I record a newsletter like this one, I can go through my email and I can just pull up all the emails that you guys have sent with the subject Swing Newsletter email, and I can answer your questions, one by one. Okay, so that's one way you can get your questions answered, because right now at this pace, I can't keep up. I'm getting about 200 emails a day average. Even though I have an assistant to help me with my emails, it's still too much, right? 200 emails per day, right? And some of them are really lengthy. So it's not feasible for me to respond to everybody's emails. So that's why I will give preference to the newsletter members for your questions. So I want you to type it in the subject, Swing Newsletter Member, right? And then write down your questions, plain and simple bullet point, right? Like straight to the point. Because I love getting to know you guys, but at the same time, what happens is, let's say if I get an email, which is like a paragraph, right? It's a long email, and it usually starts like this. Hey, Anmol, I'll keep it brief, and then it's like 2 paragraphs, like 5 pages, right? So those emails, again, I want to respond to them, but it's just too much. So I mark it as unread, and I'll get to it in a future date, right? But if you give me in bullet points or short emails, so let's say you have 5 questions you want your answer to, send one. Let me reply to that one, and then you send another one, right? That's the best way, because if you send me like a 1-line email, I will pretty much respond to it the same day, right? But if it's an email which is like, 10 sentences or 2 paragraphs, then usually I leave them for like spare time, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Is bullet point your questions, right? And get straight to the point, because again, recently I've been getting a lot of emails which are like paragraphs, and then there's a question inside the paragraph, and I gotta find it. I as a kid I used to love playing hide and seek, but not anymore. So that's that. So again, that's what I want to do. I want to give you guys preference on your questions. I want to answer your question. Don't get me wrong. I want to answer them, but please make it easy for me to actually answer those questions. Okay. And I also want to turn this newsletter into Q&A, because I don't know about you guys, I'm not a big email responder. Like I don't like to type in and reply to an email. I would rather say, hey, what's the question? And then I get on the mic like this and I just answer the question. So that's why I wanted to structure this newsletter going forward in a way that I could go on my email, I could click on Swing Newsletter folder, all the questions are in there, and I could pull it up and right on the mic I can answer them. That'll make it easier, okay? All right, so now that being said, let's see. I wanted to take a look at a couple more stocks. EA Sports has been on fire, right? EA Sports, it's in the game. Those who play Xbox or PlayStation, they make video games. EA Sports been an extremely strong stock, but it's got earnings coming up. So again, I guess we can't do much with that one. And Boeing is another one. It's got earnings coming up on 29th April. We say earnings coming up, but probably lack of earnings is what's coming up, right? But I'm going to tell you this: if Boeing gaps down on earnings, which is on 29th April, as a long-term investment, okay, So if Boeing gaps up, I'm probably not going to buy it, right? But let's say earnings comes in and, Boeing ends up going down on earnings, right? Maybe goes to like, I don't know, $80, right? $80 or maybe even lower, maybe, $75. I think I'm going to buy some as a long-term investment on Boeing, okay? If it go down under 80, would be nice. Okay, so that's what I would look to get into Boeing as a trade. Okay, all right. So that's that, and let's see. All right, as a long-term investment, I was looking at a couple stocks. As you guys know, Delta Airlines, I'm still looking at it. Delta Airlines right now looks really bearish, right? Actually looks like it wants to break down and continue down lower. But I would love to buy this thing if it goes down to 14 as my long-term position, right? Put it in an account, forget about it. Boeing, I'm interested in around 80, 75, $80. Uber, I'm already in as a long-term trade. Average price is about $22. And I'm looking at Indian stock market, as you guys I told you guys about. Don't want to buy it right now, but if you go lower on India, that'd be nice. Brazil, I want to buy. Brazilian stock market, if it goes down to like $18 would be nice. And I'm also watching American Airlines. It's got earnings coming up very soon. If I get to own American Airlines stock, let's say around $6, that'd be freaking good. I like that. And United Airlines, same thing. If I get to own this stock around like 15, I'll be open to buying that. And Southwest Airlines, this one I will say, not a big fan of this one. This one would need to go down to like, I don't even know, like $20 before I can touch that. So except for Southwest Airlines, I like all the other airlines. If they drop another 20-30% down, would be nice to buy them for a long term and forget about it. So those are something I'm watching for long-term positions at the moment. Okay, so that's the long-term position side of things that I'm looking at. Swing trades, I already went over our open positions, which is only Tilray and the NNBR. We're raising stop losses on both, and hopefully they continue higher. We can make some profit. And as far as new trades that I'm calling, just to summarize everything, new trades, the official ones are VLRS, CCL, KLXC, okay, and let's see, what was the other one? MRSN, above $10 if it gets above that. Rest of them are all watch list items. And there was another one I was just looking at. Oh, MLND, right? MLND, that's what I'm gonna do. And MRSN already doing, and AMC, The Walking Dead, AMC, that also I'm gonna do. And that's about it. Those are the official trades that I'm gonna call at the moment. Okay, and as far as the market's concerned, I try not to pay too much attention to the market, and that's one of the things that makes me happy. Not being in the market as a long-term investment is that I can just trade in and out, and I don't really care what the market's up to do. A couple more stocks that I would like to mention. One of them is PBF Energy. This looks really good. If it gets above 839, looks like a nice trade, but it's got earnings coming up in a little bit. We still have about 9 days to trade it. PBF does look good, but we're already doing some of the other energy stocks, so we don't need to do two. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see. A few more stocks that I have on my watch list. All right, here's another one that I like is SIG, Signet Jewelers, okay? So this one I like if it gets above 866. So if it gets above 866, this one does have potential to probably even double to like 1350. So that's another one that I'm going to call as official trade on the SIG. So that's that. That will do it for us today, guys. I'm going to send this newsletter out to you so you can actually watch it in time. And I will touch base with you next weekend with another video newsletter. Right, in the meantime, regular updates will continue via email. So keep an eye out on that. Have a great one, everybody. And I'll see you guys next